Welcome to Business Coaching Secrets with Karl Bryan. If you want to attract new high-end coaching clients, fill live events, and build a wildly profitable coaching practice where business owners pay, stay, and refer, you've come to the right place. In this podcast, Karl provides his keys to the kingdom for finding and signing high-paying clients and building the coaching business of your dreams. Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, coaches around the world, welcome to another episode of Business Coaching Secrets. It's your boy Road Dogg with none other than the man, the myth, the legend, the only man who started a handwritten chain letter campaign to get Madonna to host the Super Bowl halftime show. Tough luck this year, Shoots. How's it looking for next year?
How did you know I did that, Shoots? It was an impressive feat, wasn't it?
Buddy, you know what? Those chain letters get me every time because it's the automatic guilt of that I think something tragic will happen if I don't write 5 more letters. So well done. Well done to bring back, what's old is new again. So there you go, Shoots. Love it.
Madonna. You calling Madonna old, poor thing?
Yes, I am. It's officially that time. We can officially. How old is she? Do we even know? Does anybody even know? Like, it's hard to say at this point. How old is she? Google that. I'll Google it in the next question.
Yeah, let's keep. I think we ended last podcast with Madonna, so maybe we should keep moving. But there was a time in my life when I used a lot of my brain cells to think about Madonna, which is a little sad. But I had T-shirts, I had books, every magazine that had like one. I'd buy a magazine and I'd spend my own cash, man. I'd walk in and it'd be like, I don't know, I remember let's call it a $5 magazine. Maybe it was more, maybe it was less. But there'd be one picture of Madonna, and I would buy the entire magazine, pull it out, put it on my wall. And yes, my entire room was. Should I admit this shit?
No, you should probably stop talking right now. I think that would be a wise decision. I had no idea. That's almost borderline obsessive, but that's okay. So I guess follow up. So when did the transition happen from Madonna to Tom Brady? Like, at what age did that happen?
I'm not answering that shit. Okay, everybody's going to wonder what the hell we're doing. So
what is happening on this show? All right, in all seriousness, let's get into it, man, because the world is a funny place with a lot of quote unquote objects flying around these days. But that being said, and these things being shot down, the other thing going down seems to be the economy. You like this transition, Shoots? Look at this. Hey, this is good. So my question for you, when it comes to selling in a recession, how is it, I guess, similar and yet different? Like, what are the differences between selling in a recession versus a boom?
Oh, nice. That's a good question. Look, I think of the last time you went to go buy something and you didn't pull the trigger, right? You didn't buy it. Was your desire there? And the answer is probably yes, but it's the justification needed that was higher, right? Like in a recession, what am I saying? In a recession, you need more justification in your sales process, right? Like to upgrade the car, to buy a new phone, upgrade the kids' PlayStation, new golf clubs, weekly massage. Maybe I'm going to go monthly instead of weekly. I'm going to go bi-weekly, etc. Maybe it's put the new roof on the house. Versus wait a year or two, or wait for the water to start dripping, right? New siding on the house, etc. Are you going to wait, or are you going to do it now? It's the justification that you need at a higher level. And just think of the chain of command. Like, humans eat birds, birds eat fish, fish eat worms, then worms eat plankton, right? Well, help them with the chain of events that your coaching client's product / solution would solve. In fact, we did something like that just in the pre-show, right? We were talking about going to chiropractors, but it's like, hey, hang on a second. Let's walk in and 360 a chiropractic clinic, and then think of the different types of businesses within the business, and how you could go about creating a little niche that wasn't, because chiropractors are not light on people calling to say, hey, I can help you with your business, right? So So help your client with the chain of events, right, towards their solution. And like build your case. How do you jack up the justification? You build your case in such a way that it's borderline unlosable. Think of a lawyer walking in front of a jury with the insane amounts of evidence and visuals and whatnot that they have, right? And by the way, low end buyers buy why, and then high end buyers will buy how. So as a framework, you're targeting low end buyers. I'm discussing why. High end buyers, I'm discussing how. Like, okay, so translation shoots. I'd educate at a higher level. Educated people buy more / spend more, right? So that's why you wonder why business coaches that do the best tend to be public speakers. Well, seminars, webinars, educational plays work so well when selling coaching, because what you do is you just educated your business owner, hopefully disrupted them, but you're educating them, and suddenly they start looking for solutions that they otherwise weren't looking for, right? So if I'm selling anything, I'm trying to think of like some examples, like I'll always frame it up with little bombs for them to take pause, right? And remember, everyone loves the educator. You introduce me to a 9-year-old and I say, who are your favorite 5 people on the planet? There'll always be a teacher in there, right? Think of, your favorite people as a child, right? You're going to probably find that one of your teachers would fall into that. There's a reason behind it, right? So translation, educate people, become the educator. Okay, so someone's not sure if they want to, somebody wants to buy a car, and I'm selling cars. First question is, or one of the first questions, how much do you want to spend? But also, do you want new or do you want used? Because there's 2 different car lots, 2 different, very different options there. And what I would do, in fact, I sent this in an email recently, but it was like something like buying a car for the new car smell is borderline nuts, right? Because 3 of them is a cottage on the lake for your retirement. And now they'd be looking at me like, what did he just say? And I just pull out a calculator and I would help them with the, like, how much are you paying for that $80,000, XYZ, and then helping them with the math and just go, how much is that interest becoming, again, so different. I was selling a house versus a car. I would explain that if they had a mortgage, let's say somebody's got a mortgage of $2,000 shoots, right? So it's $2,000, which would probably be insanely low for the people we're speaking to, but whatever. It's $2,000. Let's assume that easy math, 1,500 is going to interest, 500 is going to principal, right? So 500, that's a $2,000 mortgage payment. Well, by paying 2,500, they'd be doubling their principal payment, and they would therefore take a 40-year mortgage and pay it off in less than 20. And once again, help them with the math on what that would ultimately save them over the next 20 to 40 years, right? Because they think in order to pay off their 40-year mortgage in 20 is that they'd have to pay $4,000 a month, and they can't afford that, so they don't even undertake it. They don't even think about it. But that's ridiculous, right? Again, 2,500 is doubling your principal payment and will, dramatically decrease the length of time it takes off to pay off your house. And what does that mean to the end, the end amount that you spend? And as I'm saying this, think about the average person buying a house is just not thinking like that, right? Or as a business coach consultant, I'm talking to business owners. One of the things that we've talked about on the podcast, thinking in percentages is a wealth hack, right? So I would explain to them that if I'm driving traffic to a website and I increase your conversions from 2 to 3%, on the surface, that feels like a 1% improvement. Nobody's interested in that. 2 to 3 is a 50% improvement, right? 20 to 30 to the untrained mind, which would be 80% of them. 20 to 30 is a 10% impact, not very exciting. 20 to 30 is a 50% impact. If your client was making $100,000 profit prior to you starting that undertaking with a 20% margin, if you increase their margins from 20 to 30, they wouldn't be making an extra 10 grand. They'd be making an extra 50 grand. If your fees are $2,000 a month, 24 grand a year, they just doubled their return by you increasing, not hiring salespeople, not doing, more marketing, not hiring more staff, improving their operations, just increasing their margins from 20 to 30%. You put 50 grand in the bank account of somebody that was making 100 when you showed up, and that is a total That is a total game changer. And if you say that to the average business owners, they will lift their eyebrows and say, do that again? Like, help me? So what you did is you just disrupted them, right? Like, education is one thing, but when I can disrupt you and really, take you again from, beta into alpha, like, you know what I mean? Like, get you into, hang on a minute, what was that? It just changes the dynamics, right? Hopefully you're kind of getting that. And by the way, this is where we teach a 4-day program on how to read financial statements. That again, the average business owner they don't even know what a financial statement is. So therefore, generally speaking, if you start talking about financial statements, you go up a notch and we'll impress the heck out of them. So that's part of what we do. And if anybody's thinking of examples there, we've talked about it to death on other podcasts. So just revisit that. The bottom line is that talking about their financial statements will jaunt them a little bit. And by the way, so as I say this, this doesn't need to be done in a 2-hour seminar. You don't need to do massive amounts of lead generation to get 20 people, 100 people, 10 people into a 2-hour event. I mean, you can drop these examples in a 15-minute call. And in fact, I would encourage you wildly to come up with 3 canned examples that are tight, simple, easy to relay, easy to say. And I'd be saying them over and over and over. And by the way, the more you do it, guess what? The better you're going to get at delivery. The tighter it's going to be, the better the example, with your tonality and your, engagement of the, you know what I mean? Like if you ask somebody, look, 20 to 30%, how many, is that a 10% improvement? And then they agree with you. You just got engagement. They just admitted, like they just said that it's 10%. And you go, I get it. That's what everybody says. That's what I used to say. Guess what? It's a 50% improvement. I go, excuse me? And then you spell it out. And again, I'd go 20 to 20 because they still don't get it. I go 20 to 22 is 10. 20 to 24 is 20. 20 to 26 is 30. 20 to 28 is 40. 20 to 30 is 50. So by doing that and laying it out, and again, you get there by doing that same example over and over and over again, as in getting better at it. It's going to make your example significant, more impactful. And you got the engagement up, which is always good when you get them involved, not just talking to them, but talking with them. But so it works in the context, like what's important here is people need more justification and are less impulsive. Going to the question of recession versus boom time, I'm jacking up. People are going to be less impulsive. So what does that mean? Right. So I guess in conclusion, shoots, down economy. People don't stop buying. They don't stop living. They don't stop driving. They don't stop flying. They don't stop traveling. They don't stop eating. They don't stop, seeking out better diets and organic foods. They're just less impulsive. And therefore you need to help your clients, jacking up the, let's just call it proof in the sales process. So that's where I go. The desire goes down, shoots. The desire doesn't go up. The impulse goes down. So that's what I'd say. What do you think?
Yeah, I also think obviously luxury type things, right? Like things that aren't as crucial. What strikes me with what you were saying is it's interesting how many amazing companies get built in tough times, right? Like it blows my mind when you look at that. It's like, well, when was that company created? It was during hard times, or people really find their way in hard times. And I think, do you think it just has to do honestly with the fact of, look, I know that it's going to be a little bit more difficult to convert my prospects into buyers. Therefore, I need to be more clear in my messaging. I need to strive and go deeper in the pain and how I solve it. Like that's what comes to me is just, you want to sell more in a down economy, you're going to have to know your clients better at a more intimate level and be able to connect with them at a deeper level where they feel the pain. So you are creating that urgency. What do you think of that?
I 100% high five. And what I thought you were going a minute ago, and I think might help everybody, is that why do the biggest companies get started in a down economy? And I think that there's a number of reasons, some of which is just luck and, company. They had to get started at some stage, right? But really what it is, your greatest successes will come through other people, right? Ultimately, but they sent an email today talking about, like collecting, developing superstars to build a company. And it's like, people are on sale. So just think of right now how many people have been laid off from Facebook, from Twitter, Amazon, etc. People are on sale and they're out there. Really, really good people are available that weren't otherwise available. And they're starting companies and then they're joining new companies. And that is a big part of why in a downturn, big companies like Disney, Apple, Microsoft, etc., get built. So there you go.
Just to clarify, folks, we do not condone or support human trafficking. People are, in fact, not for sale. I just want to clear that point up before you get quoted somehow and Karl gets canceled. There it is, folks. Anywho, on that note, what's interesting is, real quick, a lot of people getting laid off. A lot of people love complaining about all these big companies laying everybody off. Why don't you look at the opportunity inside of that instead? So that being said, when it comes to opportunity and just sort of looking beyond, I got a bit of a general question for you. Like, if there was a secret ingredient, right? Like Karl's secret sauce to business coaching success. It has a nice ring to it, but you might want to put that into an email campaign, Shoots. You're welcome. What would that be?
Sorry, making this a secret ingredient. Ingredient.
I bamboozled your brain there with Karl's secret. You're too busy writing it down. That it just messed with your brain. I get it. I understand it was gold. But if there was a secret ingredient to business coaching success, what would it be?
Nice. You can't practice soft and expect to play hard. If I watched you day to day, if I watched, a business coach day to day, if I watched you day to day, would I be inspired? Would I be inspired? Right? Like the greats in anything, call it sport, call it business, tennis, whatever. The greats inspire those around them, right? So the ones that don't exceed, I always say this, the ones that don't succeed, it's like a 90-day experiment. They go day to day, week to week, month to month, quarter to quarter, deciding if they're going to keep going. And I couldn't think of anything that could be less inspirational than that, especially for, guess who you got to inspire over everybody? You, right? You got to go all in. That would be as close as I could, I think there's a bit of magic and secret sauce in that. This, just don't treat it like an experiment. Treat it as like a long-term career. I used to always send this out in my email, and I think that there's massive magic in it. And it's like you don't have a client problem, you don't have a money problem, you have a refusal to help people before they pay you problem. That's your problem, right? So ultimately, it's psychology. And like if I go to your, how many people did you? We went earlier about education, right? Like how many people did you educate yesterday? How many people did you educate so far today? Depending upon what time it is. How many people did you educate last week? How many people did you educate last month? And by the way, for free, right? So you're doing a seminar, there's 10 people there, 2 bought from you, 8 didn't. Okay, you get credit for the entire 10, right? And then how do you do that, by the way? Look, this podcast is part of how we're doing it. My daily email is part of how we do that, right? Do all kinds of, I used to do a Q&A call where I guaranteed to solve any business coaching problem on the spot, that sort of stuff. Like, are you picking up the phone and are you helping people? Or is every time you pick up the phone and speak to somebody, every time you send a message, every time you put something on, by the way, social media, every time you put something on social media, a comment or a post, are you trying to get a client or are you trying to help people who are reading? And that right there might help you with the frame that, you got to go all in on helping folks. So again, so it's psychology. Think the Rocky story. Like nobody's going to watch Rocky, especially Rocky 3, by the way, home run when he fought Drago. But anyway, it's inspirational. It's Nelson Mandela, inspirational. It's Martin Luther King, I have a dream. It's inspirational. He started the most famous talk of all time. I have a dream. It's not, I've got a game plan, right? I don't have a step-by-step plan for you. right? So it's just look at the great, Oprah comes to mind, right? Like, look at when you really understand, and most people probably do, but Oprah's story, forget the fact that, she was on TV and did really good. She had the Oprah show. I mean, the odds that she defeated at the age of like 14, 15, 16 are like literally mind boggling, right? And then, by the way, there's a book um, I really recommend everybody read, Made in America. So it's the story of Walmart. It's absolutely fabulous. And he overcame every obstacle known to man to build Walmart in the early days. He was also insanely lucky with timing, and he'd admit as much. But the bottom line is that he was inspirational. I mean, and by the way, though, it comes at a cost, right? Like it came at the cost of time with his kids and that sort of thing. And this is where it's really important that you drill down on what it is that you want, right? So you might read that story and go, okay, hang on, cool. I think that's amazing and that's inspirational, but there's a price there that I'm not willing to pay. So then you got to water down that example. And I don't know that you have to water down the example, but you got to think, well, you're going to have to think smarter and think at a slightly higher level than he did, because there would have been an easier way to do what he was doing. The guy's flying over, he's flying over different territories and towns and whatnot to get a bit of a feel for the way the traffic flowed, et cetera. I mean, wild. Anyways, the story. Anybody who works at Amazon, or certainly anybody that works at Amazon in management, they have to read the book. So secret ingredient, go all in. It'll be worth it. The freedom as a business coach, which I would maybe define freedom as options, right? Like a business coach has literally otherworldly like options. You go anywhere, live anywhere, be anywhere. You get to learn the best thing about being a business coach is you get to learn literally every single day through your clients, through activity, through the conversations, through your seminars, through your webinars, while you're guiding others. I might, so Mel Fisher, I used to talk about this a little bit more in the past, but like the Mel Fisher story, you may or may not, know that name, but you probably know his story where he spent 17 years searching off the Florida Keys for $100 million treasure. And over those 17 years, I mean, he lost his son, he lost his daughter-in-law, I think he lost 2 wives, lost his fortune. He's a rich guy before he started. That all went bye-bye, lit it on fire over the 17 years, lost more friends than he could probably count because they all wrote him off as batshit crazy. And I'd assume that he lost his mind at different times. How would you not? But what he didn't lose was his will to keep going. He searched and searched. He found this treasure he was looking for 17 very long years. And what's the moral of the story? It took him 17 years to find it, right? So he was searching, and over 17 years, I want you to think of how many times that he thought that he found something and it's people will quit and people call him crazy. Like, think about what that would look like. And then the question is, what is the moral of the story? And it's I believe there's 3 central beliefs, right? One, that it was there. He believed that it was there, right? Number 2, he believed that he could find it. And number 3, he believed that it would be worth it, right? So number one is he believed that it was there, the treasure, right? Number 2, he believed that he, not somebody else, but him and his team could be the ones to find it. And then 3, that when it was all said and done, it would be worth it, right? So you're feeling stuck, the secret ingredient, like you're feeling stuck with your coaching. You're doing that old, hide behind the computer, stare at your phone and experiencing pain. And you're looking for that elusive breakthrough. Here's my question. Do you believe business owners are there? I'd be amazed if you don't. But do you, right? Do you really believe that? Number 2, do you believe you can find them? You can convince them, you can help them, right? It's like number 2 core belief. Do you believe that it's you that's going to be able to convince them, guide them, help them? And then number 3, do you believe it'll be worth it? Right. And that last one really matters, right? As it did for Rocky. He believed it would be worth it. Why did Rocky turn down all that money? Like not Rocky, but Sylvester Stallone. If you know the story, he was offered all kinds of money for the script and the play. And he said, no, 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 no. Why? He wanted to play Rocky. They said, you're not even an actor. What are you talking about? Right. You talk with his mouth. You know what I mean? You talk funny, this, that, and the other. You don't look like the part. We need somebody bigger. But he believed it would be worth it, right? And Oprah, again, you just follow the Oprah story. You just know that, again, she just pushed through all odds. I mean, Michael Jordan, could you imagine, losing to the Pistons, losing to the Pistons, losing to the Pistons, boom, won 3 championships, retired, went to go play baseball, came back, won 3 championships. I mean, unheard of, right? Kobe, Schumacher, I don't know, Federer, Serena Williams, etc. Like, again, they just imagine why do they wake up? They got all this money and they still get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and go, right? I've got to mention Tom Brady here, Shoots. I know you'll be disappointed. But anyway, so do you believe that it'll be, so, okay, business coach's secret ingredient question. Do you believe that it will be worth it, right? And if you're not willing to, look, whenever we hear, Shoots, right, from a business coach, right, that says, I won't cold call. I don't cold call. That's not what I do. Like, that's fine. The problem is the frame. Because if you're saying you won't cold call, you know what I mean? It's all about you. It's not about them. It's like, no, I want to help the chiropractor, the dentist, the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker. I don't care what it's going to take to get to them. I got a cold call. I'm going to do that. I prefer not to do that. If I could go to the accountant and the banker and the business broker and the bookkeeper, etc., and get an introduction, that would be better. But I tell you what I'm going to do, come hell or high water, I'm going to get in front of them. I'm going to get them on the phone. I'm going to deliver my story. I'm going to guide them. I'm going to get their credit card. They are going to pay me, and I am going to make that the best damn decision they ever made. You know what I mean? Like, again, you just that needs to be your frame. So the question. So again, I don't know. Shoots. I think that's it. And remember, like, Mel Fisher, he went at it for 17 years. Most business owners, most business coaches, or a lot, you know what I mean? They'll struggle to go 17 minutes or 17 days, let alone 17 weeks, 17 months, or 17 years to go and get something. And you know what? It's actually over the weekend, in the last, I'm going to say, last little short period of time, I've been listening to a lot of Kobe Bryant interviews. This one specifically, listen to it like at least 10 times, and I'll listen to it more. I just find it, I kind of feel like, like it's from the grave kind of approach. Gosh, that guy was obsessed with winning. And what he was really obsessed with is being the best he could be. And I just find that so inspirational. And the fact that he's no longer here and he wasn't able to, he was well and truly on his way to becoming a billionaire, and he would have absolutely crushed it in the business space, which is what he moved from basketball into business, and he would have killed it. I just find him to be so inspirational. It's blows my mind. So Shoots, yeah, I look, 2 things before, okay, I would throw it back to you, but you're enough, but you're nowhere near good enough. I feel like Kobe Bryant just epitomizes that. You know what I mean? Like, he had the confidence, and his dad instilled confidence into him, like that he felt like it was okay to it was okay for him to fail. His dad gave him that approval. And if you listen to Kobe Bryant, you'll hear him talk about that a little bit. But so he felt like he was enough. He was, confident in his own 2 feet on the ground and like who he was, but he knew that he was nowhere near good enough, and he just wanted to get better and better and better. He did that in basketball. He was already doing that in business, and no doubt he would have absolutely crushed it. And it's also, I'll probably make a meal of this, but so it's not who you are that's holding you back. It's who you think you're not, right? I think the power of that is absolutely insane. So it's not who you are that's holding you back. It's who you think you're not. Consistency needs to be mentioned here also, but the bottom line, every day, pound and grind, but not in an idiotic way, 18 hours a day, the way some other influencers would encourage you. And by the way, feel free to take that advice and that guidance. That's fine, but that's not the way that I would encourage you to do it. I would encourage you to do it in an intelligent way, pound and grind, but I want you to do it in a smart and intelligent, focused way, right? Again, insane speed requires immense clarity, is something we say often. And so it's, as far as that goes, Shoots, that's what secret ingredient. There's multiple of them, but
So hold on, Karl. Let me jump in here real quick, and because I know we don't have a ton of time left, but I wanted to ask this one thing, because you mentioned the Kobe thing. You all this mindset in that the internal questions, all great stuff, but let's be honest, man. Like there's guilty right here, right? So, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that has all these self-limiting thoughts and doubts and everything else of, you're just not good enough. Like I'm not good enough. Like how do you help someone control that internal conversation?
Um, your new life is going to cost you your old one. That's a tough realization for a lot of people to come to. Your new life is going to cost you your old one. Not to mention, as your emotions go up, your intelligence goes down. You need to manage that, right? And yeah, we'd all like to eliminate that guy of you're not good enough. And by the way, shoots, we just define that. That's your monkey brain. You got it. I got it. Everybody's got it, right? Everybody listening's got it. Your clients as well and truly have it. Um, think of it as you and all of us have an inner Jekyll and Hyde, including Jeff Bezos, who retired at, I think he was 57 with a cool 197 billion, nothing serious. So he's got a monkey brain. Surely you and I are entitled to have it too. But they're two parts of your brain, right? So let's call them big you and little you. So only question is who's winning, right? Jekyll or Hyde at any given moment. So as a frame, little brain wants to argue about nothing. Big brain wants to change the world, right? Tough two to please at the same time if you really think about it. So there's your issue right there. So if you look closely, you can literally see someone arguing with themselves. Ever see someone get angry and it's like, why did I argue with my wife when I promised I wouldn't let her trigger me again? Or why did I have that drink? Why did I skip the networking function? Why did I not practice my script before getting on the phone? Why did I not practice my script before going to the networking function? Why did I send the document? Why did I have that dumb conversation with that person when I said that I would avoid it? Why did I send the email? Why did I send the text? Why did I have the conversation when I was angry? Why did I stop at McDonald's? Why did I drink the big gulp? Why did I drink the large Slurpee? Right. So, or a more dramatic example, by the way, would be the guy, drinking or doing drugs after quitting for a prolonged period. Right. It's probably not yet. That may be you, and that's probably not you. But think about it like it's not that much different, but that's like a more dramatic example of it. And this is your prefrontal cortex, right? Sparring with your what's it called? Amygdala. Hope I'm pronouncing that right, but your amygdala. So when you stop at McDonald's or drink a beer on Tuesday when you promised you wouldn't, and then wonder why, it's little you winning over big you. And other times, big U wins, and then you feel good, right? So very powerful to understand that your big brain, logical, conscious brain, is fighting against an emotional, subconscious brain constantly. So, question is, what's the score? And maybe a better question is, are you keeping score? And there's a good chance. And are you understanding the frame and that's going on? And are you being gentle and forgiving of yourself, knowing that Jeff Bezos is doing it, Road Dogg's doing it, I'm doing it, the guy that you look up to, the gal that you look up to is doing it. So it's okay, right? So let's just say that you're imagining that, right? Think of two little emotional brains and two different people having an argument. Not good. And this is when it gets nasty. So not until someone lets big brain take over does it settle down. And often that is not for hours, days, and in some cases, maybe even years. You see that in like families all the time, right? Where they become, you know what I mean? Like two people in a family haven't spoken for years and really neither of them could give you a really good reason why. And they probably won't admit it, but the truth is that it hurts them, right? Individually. Um, so, and the reason is no one knows the little brain is fighting and not letting the big brain take over, right? So just think old school Hulk, I'm picturing this Hulk Hogan versus Randy Macho Man Savage, having it out. And the little brains are, fighting to hijack the behavior and winning. And again, fighting to hijack the behavior. What do I mean? Like going to McDonald's, having the drink, eating the Twinkie at 7 o'clock. Like every diet works until 7 o'clock, right? And that's where you fall off. And that's Road Dog. That's me. That's you. That's your client. That's little brain taking over and winning all day long, right? So, um, let's just say that your spouse, right? You disagree with your wife, and then I say, look, I ask her to explain her thinking. right? Well, big brain would go, that's totally logical, but what does little brain do? Little brain sees it as an attack, right? And then gets understandably angry because if I attacked you, why wouldn't you get angry? That would be like the natural result. Um, so that's like a natural thing. The logical bigger brain would be interested in the other person's perspective or rational um, reasoning or the situation behind it, right? The mental model here, by the way, would be seek first to understand rather than be understood. But there's nothing rational about little brain that gets angry. Your little brain is not interested in mental models. That's basically big brain stuff. So when you stop and think, which is what my mentor tells me to do all of the time, stop and think, Carl, stop and think, Carl, stop and think. What he's really saying is, look, your little pea brain, your little monkey brain, stop that and let's rise up and look at the situation for what it is, right? So, anyways, but instead of using a mental model, you try to explain your behavior, and your explanations make no sense, but you're just not thinking of it like that, right? So it's just that monkey brain shoots. It's a bigger problem. And it's got that like hidden motivations, right? Where they both of them, think of it, both of them want to run the show. Both of them want to grab the steering wheel, right? And again, ask any psychologist, they'll be able to explain this a million times better than I probably am right now. But everybody has it. So go a little bit easy on yourself. Um, but it's the root of a lot of people's unhappiness and more fighting and whatnot than you could ever imagine. So shoots, it's you got it, I got it, man. It's that little monkey brain shoots. So hey,
Listen, bud, I gotta say, I think we got the new title for the podcast: Little Brain versus Big Brain. I think I think there's some traction there. Gotta admit, I'm not sure who's who yet. We'll figure that piece out. But anyways, pretty good. Listen, I'd love to dive deeper on that. We'll do that in the next episode. If you had to pick one thing from today's episode, man, there's a bunch there that somebody can take and just, implement, install into their, not just, I guess, their business, but their minds today. What do you think that one thing would be?
what would it be? I think I don't know, the Mel Fisher thing. That's something that this hits me hard. In the opening videos, when somebody becomes a new client of ours, it's actually something I talk about right there. But it's just, so what is that? Mel Fisher was trying to find $100 million treasure, and he did. And then you go, okay, why did he? And you could only imagine how many other people were looking for the $100 million treasure, didn't find it. Why did they not find it? Because they gave up, right? He believed that it was there, that he could find it, that it would be worth it. So my segue there and my question for anybody here, and I think we gave this as part of a secret ingredient, and that's that. Do you believe that the business owners are out there and that they'll respond to you? Maybe that's something else you gotta, use as your frame. Do you believe the business owners are there and they'll respond to you? Two, do you believe that you can find them, convince them, and help them? And then most importantly, by 100 million miles, the thing that keeps Jordan going, or kept Jordan going back in the day, kept Kobe going back in the day, Serena Williams, Roger Federer, Michael Schumacher, Wayne Gretzky, my boy Tom Brady, all of which, do you believe it'll be worth it? So your answer to that will make you pick up the phone, send messages, comment on Facebook, and you know what I mean? Like just drum up a database and convince those folks that you should be their mentor and depart with. You get 20 clients at $2,000 a month. Do the math; it's 480 grand, and you're doing pretty well with 80%, whatever number margins, depending upon your expenses. But one of the reasons you get into coaching is because the margins are insane, very, very good in comparison to most other industries. So you'd be doing real well. So you'll have to decide if that is worth it. But remember, part of why we do this is options, right? Just depending upon what you're doing prior to this, so becoming a business coach, or maybe it's prior to working with us. The bottom line is that what were your options? The options when you become a successful business coach are absolutely insane, and they'll be worth it. So shoots, I'm going to use that that three core beliefs as my one thing, shoots.
Love it. I like it from a, like, what's your framework in terms of getting yourself realigned with of why you're doing what you're doing, right? I love that. I think that's fantastic. So, also another thing, as you're talking there, you just quickly mentioned 20 clients. Maybe just let's note that down, that maybe we can have a chat about that on the next episode, of, because I know that it's a big leap to go from 10 to 20, and I know a lot of people could sort of get stuck, right? Like, I think that's being very polite. They get pretty bamboozled going from 10 to 20. So I think that would be a good one in terms of how do you actually do that without losing your mind, right? So anyways.
Nice.
On that note, everybody, thanks for tuning into another episode of Business Coaching Secrets with the King of the Caribbean himself, Karl Bryan. And if you're not on the inside getting access to the pre-show, or you aren't getting Karl's daily emails, or you just generally want to build and scale and grow your business coaching business, or you're just looking to get started and don't know where to start, go to focus.com and subscribe today, and you can get all the details there. Again, if you enjoyed the podcast, please share it, like it, leave a review, all that sort of wonderful stuff. We would greatly, greatly appreciate. And we will see you in the next episode, folks. But remember, progress equals happiness. Take care, everybody.
Karl Bryan built Profit Acceleration Software 2.0 to train business coaches how to find any small business owner more than $100,000 in 45 minutes without them spending an extra dollar on marketing or advertising. This becomes a business coach's superpower. So as a business coach, you'll never again have to worry about working with business owners that can't afford your high-end coaching fees. Check us out at focused.com.